So, what kind of violence is it that we should be getting rid of? Is it gun violence? Is it knife stabbing violence? Is it violence by arson and fires? Is it violence by human hands, like those who strangle other people? What kind of violence should we be getting rid of? Is the problem really the weapon that is used to kill someone? Or is the problem the person that did the killing? It's impossible to ban every single kind of instrument that a person could possibly use to kill someone. The problem is those who do the killing. Unfortunately, that's a spiritual problem that has to be addressed. It's very heartbreaking what's going on in the world. I'm not just referring to Charlie Kirk. I'm referring to things going on worldwide. Gaza, for example. Do you think that the Palestinians should be able to have guns to defend themselves with? Those who would come to kill their families? What about the people in Israel who got attacked October 7th? Should they have been able to defend themselves with any weapons? By the way, I do believe that what's going on in Palestine is not a war. That's a genocide, not a war. Because those are civilians who do not have weapons to defend themselves with. What was done to Charlie Kirk wasn't just done to him, it was done to his wife, the children who are going to grow up without the presence of their father. And that's what's really sad. You know, I know exactly what his wife is going through and what she will be going through over the next years, because that's exactly what happened to me. It's not really something that I like to talk about, because when I get into the topic, I almost have to relive it in my head. And it's not that I'm not over it. I am over it. I did get over it. But if I have to relive it in my head when I remember it, I could get emotional because the memories of that experience come back so clearly in my head. So, I wish I could offer her some guidance on how to deal with it, walk her through it. And the first 2 weeks are actually going to be the easiest for her. You might think that the first 2 weeks, when your spouse or somebody that close to you dies, that is going to be the hardest. But no, that's going to be the easiest part. Why? Because you just saw the person yesterday. She just saw him that same day. You saw him yesterday, got to hug him. When it really hits, it's going to be a month from now when you actually feel the full absence of the person. And then a year from now, when he's not around, for the holidays, birthdays. I feel especially bad because you could see how much she adored her husband. And for people who cherish marriage, and that's something very important for them, that's it's the worst blow that life can give to you. And I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. It's just sad. Um, the message with that, to try to silence people with violence. That's the message that he basically sent. It's not to get rid of gun violence. That's what they were aiming at, right? They did this to try to convince those who are pro Second Amendment, try to convince them as to why they shouldn't have weapons to defend themselves with. That was the whole point of killing Charlie Kirk at that event. In fact, I'm 99.9% sure that the person who was asking Charlie Kirk that question right before he died was in on it, and he should be looked into and investigated. Because I'm pretty sure that guy was part of the plot. The guy who was asking him about the mass shootings right before the sniper got him. Because why didn't the sniper shoot him at any other time during that event? Why precisely when the question of mass shootings came up? And you could see it in the guy's tone of voice too. That was completely planned. And I don't see why people can't agree to disagree. Or if you really want to convince somebody that you're right, you really want to convince them about your political views, use your freedom of speech to debate them. Use your intellect to convince them. The problem is that when they know they are wrong and they can't convince you, that's what evil people will resort to doing. They'll use violence. And they won't use just gun violence. It could be any sort of violence or threats. So that doesn't represent such a tolerant political view, does it? This country has a lot to think about. And the thing is, that kind of rhetoric, it doesn't work with people who are passionate about the truth and freedom of speech. And there's a lot of people that are trying to push for a civil war. There's people who want right-wingers. They want the right to retaliate. But let me tell you something. The majority of right wing, they don't use guns to silence other people's political views. They use their freedom of speech to defeat people in debates when it comes to that. There's no need for violence. The guns are just for self-defense against bodily harm, against thieves. The guns are not meant for violence. It's meant to protect people from those who would harm them. And that's why we are pro Second Amendment. Because crazy people in the world, like the ones who took the life of Charlie Kirk, do exist. And unfortunately, even a gun won't always protect you. Look, he got caught off guard. He was at a live event, broad daylight. He was targeted. And you know what? It could have been a knife. It could have been something else. Evil people are going to find whatever means necessary to kill whoever it is that they want to kill. That's just how it is, unfortunately. Could have been a plane crash. What happened yesterday, the murdering of Charlie Kirk, that was meant to bring fear. They want you in a state of fear. The thing is that people who are truly passionate about the truth and using freedom of speech to speak the truth, they're definitely more passionate about speaking the truth than they are about fear. So if they were to use a strategy of violence to shut people down, really the only thing that they would be doing by violence is to create thousands and millions of martyrs.